There were some places, though, where the two instincts worked together and changed Britain as a result. And this is one of them, the synagogue of Bevis Marks in London. Historians sometimes complain that it's difficult to find hard evidence of any good at all that came out of the Protectorate. Well, this is hard enough evidence for me, for it was on these unforgiving, backless oak benches that the first Jews to be admitted since the expulsion 360-something years before parked their behinds. It was under the Protectorate that Jews were allowed finally to worship openly and to live openly in what became a little piece of early multicultural London. It's Oliver Cromwell we have to thank for that, for opening a new chapter of Anglo-Jewish history, my history. His apocalyptic timetable told him that the conversion of the Jews would herald the coming of the last days. But his business sense told him that through their network in the Dutch and Spanish trading world, the Jews could be a priceless source of commercial and military intelligence. Piety and pragmatism, those twin qualities so often at odds inside Cromwell's personality, this time came together to make him, as far as the Jews were concerned, a true Lord Protector. But not king. In the end, and so unlike the king he had destroyed, Cromwell could never shake off his sense of unworthiness. It was what saved him and Britain from a true dictatorship. Oliver Cromwell believed he worked for God. Real dictators think they are God. It was those men who fancied themselves little gods, Charles I or the Republican oligarchs, who most aroused Cromwell's contempt. Simplicity was a word he used all the time about himself, and it was the highest of moral compliments. But to prolong the Protectorate, Cromwell actually needed to be more of a Leviathan than he could ever stomach, and that is both his exoneration and his failure. And it's one of the most extraordinary ironies of British history that Cromwell's Protectorate, demonised by both royalists and republicans alike, ultimately formed the blueprint for our constitutional monarchy. A chief executive who chose his government, but who were both answerable to a regularly elected parliament. But Cromwell himself would not live to see this happen. On September the 3rd, 1658, the anniversary of the Battle of Worcester, Cromwell died while an immense black tempest was raging over England, ripping out trees and sending belfries crashing to the ground. It was, the old wives said, the devil coming for his soul. What Oliver Cromwell left behind was not a workable political system, but a vision. Now, he may have been an angry, ruthless, overbearing man, perhaps even a manic depressive. But that vision was something of startling sweetness, a sighting of Jerusalem, a place where everyone would be free to receive Christ in their own way, provided that they did not disturb the peace and conscience of anybody else. After all his marches and slaughters and fits of table-pounding, red-faced fury, what it turned out Oliver Cromwell wanted for everyone was a quiet life. But Catholics were excluded from this vision, because for Cromwell, as for the country at large, Catholicism meant tyranny. The Protector may have left the country safe from despots, but not from anarchy, and after his death it returned with a vengeance. Power swinging between the soldiers and the politicians, sleepless nights, the nagging questions from 10 years before. Who will keep us safe? Who do we obey? Where do we find a sovereign to protect us? It took another hard-headed soldier to see the only way to restore order. General George Monk had been a royalist in the Civil War and a Cromwellian when it seemed that only the Protector could keep the peace. Now he realized that with the Lord Protector gone, there was only one person who could take his place. That was a new king. The irony about the restoration of Charles II was that he came to the throne not because England needed a successor to Charles I. He came to the throne because England needed a successor to Oliver Cromwell.